All right, so we've got the tour. Did everybody see the three questions that I just sent out? You may not have seen it yet. I want to read the questions because they're really very good questions.
Amazing questions. Yes, amazing
We either
questions.
touched on them or we will touch on them. So let me just open up my what's up again. Here are the three questions. Okay, this is a great question. We showed him talk about this. I'm not sure if we talked about it yet, but we certainly will if we didn't. So once we say mitoch, remember what did we say? Mitoch shehutra litzorech, hutra nami shelo litzorech. You're allowed to cook. You're allowed to carry for ochel nefesh. So once we say that you're allowed to light a fire for ochel nefesh, we say you're also allowed to light a fire not for ochel nefesh. And once we say you're allowed to carry ochel nefesh, you're allowed to carry not for ochel nefesh. So the question is, so once we say that, all right. So once we say that mitoch, where is it here? Once we say that mitoch, why isn't there a hava amina? And I wouldn't have said, why isn't there a din that cooking is completely permitted? Why don't we say that mitoch shehutra cooking litzorech, I should be able to cook shelo litzorech, and therefore, why can't I cook for tomorrow? Why can't I cook for the next Yom Tov? Why can't I cook for Shabbos? So it could be, and I can't cook for Chol, maybe. All right, we'll see. But why can't I say mitoch shehutra litzorech, hutra nami cooking shelo litzorech? That's a great question. Question number two. If cooking on Yom Tov is inherently okay for Shabbos, again, remember we had a machlokas whether it's midoraisa mutter to cook for Yom Tov l'Shabbos or midoraisa it's usr. Rabba said it's usr, but we need hoil. But Rav Ashi held that it's mutter, and then we only need an Eruv Tavshilin so that he won't undermine his Suda Shabbos. So if cooking on Yom Tov is inherently okay for Shabbos, that's right. Why can't we cook on a Thursday Yom Tov for Shabbos, even if the Friday intervening isn't Chag? In other words, Yom Tov is on Wednesday and Thursday. So why can't I, if I'm allowed to cook midioraisa on Friday for Shabbos, why can't I cook on Thursday Yom Tov when Friday is not Yom Tov for Shabbos? That's an interesting question. That's a little easier to answer, but we'll have to see that. And the final question, if there's time left in the day, but based on location, you know it's impossible that you'll have guests. Chabad rabbi in some far-flung place or a Jew camping in the woods for some reason. I assume Hoil doesn't work. Okay, so we'll see what it says. We're going to see these things. These were great questions, and we're going to see we'll hopefully see the answers inside either today or next time. Okay? All right, so let's open up the tour. We did the tour.
To the last question of like assuming that oil doesn't work because you're in Timbuktu, whatever, what is the probability required? Because there obviously is some sort of a probability that a Yid is going to walk in also in a far-flung location. So you need some sort of cutoff point, no?
Okay. All right. Let's see inside. We'll see these things inside. All right. So let's open up our tour. Taf Kuf Gimel. We did the tour and we need to see the Beis Yosef. But since the Beis Yosef accesses a couple of things that are in this Siman Aleph, I just want to run through very quickly the tour Siman Aleph. Sif Aleph, we did it last time at the very end quickly. We need to see it again because we're going to be seeing some important Beis Yosefs that access it. So let's read it again quickly. Taf Kuf Gimel Sif Aleph. Also levashel b'yom tov. I'm going to go very quickly because we saw it already. Also levashel b'yom tov el kedei tzorach hayom. Okay, vafilu miyom tov lechavero. You're not allowed to. O miyom tov l'Shabbos. It's all usher. Aval, but on Yom Tov memali isha hakederim et basar afal pishein etzricha el chaticha achas mishay tashatavshil mitkan yoser. Meaning she's going to cook one piece of meat for Yom Tov. She can add more meat that she needs for Shabbos with that meat that she's cooking for Yom Tov, because that improves the taste of the meat that she needs for Yom Tov, and therefore it's considered bishul for Yom Tov. Kishiyesh harbe b'kedera. I'm sorry, I missed it's off the middle of the sentence. Okay, el lachatichas midei shetavshil mitkan yoser kishiyesh harbe b'kedera. V'yesh omrim di afilu. Here's an extreme. Afilu omra beferush. She wrote so l'tzorch machar shehu muter. Meaning she doesn't just have to do it and think in her mind, oh, this will be great for tomorrow. She's allowed to say explicitly, I'm adding meat to the pot for that I'm cooking for Yom Tov, so I will have cooked meat for Shabbos. Even that's mutter. We'll see in the Beis Yosef why. V'yesh osrim. You can imagine your default should be that if you're saying explicitly that you're doing it for Shabbos, that shouldn't be such a good idea, but we'll see in the Beis Yosef why yes, why no. The Nira, Shu Mutter. Here's the tour. The Nira Shu Mutter. Even, again, he's implying, even if she says explicitly, I'm doing it for Shabbos. Why? Kivan de Tama Heter Mipnei Shatosepet Gorem Tam the Tavshil. The whole reason you're allowed to do it bichlal is only because by adding more meat, you're going to improve the taste of the meat that's in the pot. And otherwise it would be usher if that wouldn't be true. So then in Kena Filu Pirsha Beferish Nami Mutter. She's saying, I'm doing it because I need meat for Shabbos. But at the end of the day, what are you doing? You're improving the taste of the meat that's in the pot for Yom Tov, and therefore it's okay. That's the tour. Next. Kosa Bala Itur Dafka Koda Machila. All of this is before you had your Sudas Yom Tov. Then you chola laharbos bevishul. Okay, avala achar achila eni yochel levashel velomar ochel mimenu. Eni yochel levashel velomar ochel mimenu kazayas. You're not allowed after your Suda to cook more meat, start over again, more meat, and say, well, I'm going to eat one kazayas. Because you realize what's the default here, why it might be mutter. Because at the end of the day, I'm cooking now for a kazayas for Yontiv, and therefore I'm allowed to cook a big pot for one kazayas of Yontiv. That's a big harama once you ate your seuda. Okay? So he's saying all of this that we're allowing you to add and all kinds of things, that's got to be where it's before your meal, and therefore you're being serious. I'm really doing it because I want to improve the taste of the meat that I'm going to eat in my Suda. But once you finished eating, we'll see the Beis Yosef how he deals with this. Okay, so that was Siyaf Aleph. Question.
Yeah, I was just wondering. I mean, there are certain people all over the world that run Hachnas Sorchen businesses. Like, not business, lashon business.
Wait. We're not talking about a Hoil Shemayava Orchim. Hold that question. Okay? Right now we're talking about somebody that the intention is, I am now cooking it for, I'm not saying Hoil Veh, I'm saying I'm cooking now in the afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I finished my Suda, now I want to cook for Shabbos. But what I'll do is, in order to allow it, I'll eat a kazayas basar. If you remember, we'll see. You know what? Let's see in the Beis Yosef. He'll open the door. Why are we even talking about this? Okay, where's the opening that maybe it could be mutter? Okay, we'll see when we get to the end.
Wait,
okay.
Rabbi Karlinsky,
yeah.
Can I just ask on this? So the lashon of the tour is, and I think this was actually from the Gemara, right? Afilu, what does it say? Afilu amr b'feirush shehi rotza oso letzorach machar. Is it?
That's not in the Gemara. That's not in the Gemara.
Oh, that's not in the Gemara. Okay.
The Gemara says she's allowed to add meat. She's allowed to cook a lot of meat, even though she only needs one piece.
Okay. Well, in any event, the way that it's expressed here is, I mean, at least what we see explicitly, she doesn't mention anything about also eating some of it now.
No, we're talking here no. We're talking here about a woman who is cooking in the morning for her Yontif Suda.
No, I understand that, but it's like, we say that the reason.
If you're cooking for your Yontif Suda, she doesn't need to say, I'm doing this to eat now. She's doing it to eat now. That's the whole intention. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. They're coming home at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. She starts cooking at 10 o'clock in the morning for the Yontif Suda. And the only question is she only allowed to put in one piece of meat that they're going to eat at the Yontif Suda? Or could she put in 5 pieces of meat knowing they're only going to eat one piece at the Yontif Suda?
Right. No, I understand. So apparently we're not concerned that her Amira here is going to possibly lead to it maybe somebody else getting the mistaken understanding that
no. You're making it more complicated than it needs to be. Let's see the Beis Yosef. You'll understand what the issue here is about. Why is saying something even relevant? Why is it even relevant? Okay, if she says, I'm not doing it to improve the taste of the meat, I'm doing it in order to have more meat for Shabbos. You don't understand that that's a problem? The whole heter. Well, let's see the Beis Yosef. You'll understand that you need a heter to be able to add meat that you don't need for Yontif. Let me start with the default. You need one piece of meat for Yontif. Are you allowed to cook it for Yontif?
Yes.
I have meat that I don't need for Yontif. I want to cook it for Shabbos without an Eruv Tavshilin. Am I allowed to do it?
Mistama, no.
Why only Mistama, no? No. You're not allowed to do it, either the rice or the rabbanon. You're not allowed to cook. You're not allowed to cook meat on Yontif for Shabbos without an Eruv Tavshilin. True or false?
True.
Okay. So now the woman is cooking 1 piece for Yontif and 4 pieces for Shabbos. Is that a problem?
Yes.
Okay. That's where we are right now. She put a piece of meat in the pot for Yontif and 4 pieces of meat in the pot for Shabbos. Is there a potential problem there?
Yeah.
So we're saying that, well, since by putting the 4 pieces of meat in, she's improving the taste of the Yontif meat, it's okay. But what if she says explicitly, I'm not putting this in for the taste of the Yontif meat, I'm putting it in for Shabbos. You realize that there could be a problem there?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's where we are right now. That's the machlokus, whether it's mutter or usher, when she says beferish. Make sense? So let's see the Beis Yosef. Beis Yosef. Also levashe biyom tov elokei tzorach hayom aval miyom tov lechavero o miyom tov l'Shabbos aser. Klomar, the kol shekain miyom tov l'chol. He doesn't even mention that. All he says is you're not allowed to cook on Yom Tov for Yontif or for Shabbos. He doesn't even need to mention, of course, you're not allowed to cook on Yom Tov for Chol. The Aser. The Dvarim Alolu Pshutim Umizbarim Beperek Beis the Beitza, the explicit Gemaras. The Kosav Behagos Maimon, we saw this inside, I believe, B'Shems, the Smak, the Sefer Mitzvot HaKatan, Yizoher Shelo Yishchot Miyom Tov Lechaveru. You have a Wednesday, Thursday. Let's talk about a Tuesday, Wednesday, Yontif. Tuesday, Wednesday, Yontif. And you want to shecht on Tuesday, and you need the meat for Wednesday. No good. Don't do that. Lo yishchat miyom tov lechavero. Why? The shemesh sheni chol. Remember, when we have 2 days Yontif, it's a sfeika diyoma. Again, we're talking here at the time of the Beis Hamikdash. It's a sfeika diyoma. So you have Tuesday, Wednesday, Yontif. Okay? Now, Tuesday is Yontif. Wednesday might be Yontif, and Tuesday was Chol. But if Tuesday is Yontif and Wednesday is Chol, and I shechted on Tuesday Yontif for Wednesday Yontif, that might end up being shechting on Yontif for Chol. And afilu shnei yomim tovim shel Rosh Hashanah, where I say no, it's a Yom Arichta, and I have a big chumrah about keep treating it as 1 day. Afal gav de kedush achas saying that's hainu lahachmir v'lo lahakel. I'm not allowed to assume that for a kula, and therefore, even on Rosh Hashanah, I have to worry, I have to behave as if 1 day is Yom Tov and 1 day is Chol. Okay? Yom Rishon Iker. Okay? So he's saying that you're not allowed to shecht on Yom Tov Tuesday if you need the meat for Wednesday. Not allowed to do that. All right? And the Sefer HaKatan, that's the Smak. Messiah Koloshan Hazeh. Here's the continuation. Again, we're talking here about shechting on Tuesday, and I really am only going to need the meat on Wednesday. So l'chayra, that's already, I'm doing a malacha on Yontif for the next day Yontif, or maybe for Kol. Still in all, if, right, I'm sorry, achimu ochel ktsas min ha'of o min ha'behema, bo bayom shari mishum di'ef shalek kazayis basar below shchita. As you saw, we saw that in the Gemara, that since the only way you could eat a kazayas of meat on Tuesday is if you shechted a whole animal, so as long as I'm eating 1 kazayas of the meat on Tuesday, I can shecht it even though my intention is for Wednesday. I need the animal for Wednesday, but I'm going to shecht it today and eat a kazayas, so then that turned out that my shechita was also for Tuesday, and then the Wednesday is left over. You following the logic here? That if you're only shechting on Tuesday for Wednesday, you're not allowed to do it, because that's shechting from Yom Tov to Chol. But if you're going to shecht on Tuesday and you're going to eat a kazayas of it on Tuesday, then it's okay. Is that clear? Does that make sense? Because you've got to make perfect sense to see the contrast that's coming. Aval le'efod v'levashel miyom tov lechavero. Asur. You're allowed to shecht on Tuesday for Wednesday if you eat a kazayas, but you're not allowed to cook on Tuesday for Wednesday or bake on Tuesday for Wednesday, even if you're going to end up eating, even if you will eat a kazayas of that food. Why? It's efshar kazayas without shchita, so I have to do a shchita on the whole animal to eat a kazayas. Okay, but if you want to eat a kazayas of cooked food, cook a kazayas of food. Why are you cooking a lot of food for the next day and say, I'll eat one kazayas of that food today? That doesn't help. That's not an excuse. It's efshar l'shchita. I can't do the malach of shchita for one kazayas without shechting the whole animal. I can't eat one kazayas of meat without shechting the whole animal. So therefore, if I eat a kazayas of meat today, I'm okay. But can you cook a kazayas of food to eat a kazayas today?
Absolutely.
Of course. So what gives you the right to cook a whole pot? If you don't really need the pot for today, you only need the pot for tomorrow. Again, we're talking where the whole pot is necessary for tomorrow. And the shechita was all necessary for tomorrow. But I can fix the problem of needing the shechita for tomorrow by eating one kazayas today, which renders my shechita also for today. But if I'm making a pot for tomorrow and I eat one kazayas of that pot today, I haven't fixed the problem because I cooked much more than I need. I can't shecht more than I need because you have to shecht. But cooking and baking, I don't have to make a whole pot for tomorrow. So that is the smak. Okay. Okay. In other words, there's a difference between shechting for tomorrow and fixing it by eating a kazayas today, because as we saw the Gemara, efshar lebasar below shchita. Efshar lekazayas basar below shchita. But it's certainly possible, efshar lekazayas of cooked food without cooking a whole pot. All you need to do is cook a pot, cook kazayas. Okay, are we so? That's the smak. And now this is the Beis Yosef commenting. The Yeshli Tumoa, Harehitiru Chachamim Levashal Kederim Alea Basar, Afal Pishen Otzarch El Chaticha Achas, Velefo Tanur Mole Pat, Afal Pishen Tzarch El Lekikar Echad. So why isn't that enough of a justification to say I'll cook a whole pot and I'll eat a kazayas? Miu, the ha meaning in the smak, Ikul Meimar, the Myri Betanurim Didon. Okay, so that I can understand that not to bake. Aval in other words, he wants to, why can't I cook a lot of food intending to eat it the second day Yontif as long as I eat some of it today? Because I am allowed to cook a big pot for food. So that's the problem that he has with the smak. The Efshalomar, the Mayri b'mevashale achar achila. He's saying, you know what? The smak is not talking before achila. It's very clear, okay, that if you haven't yet eaten, you can make a big pot, even though your full intention is for tomorrow, because you're going to eat one kazayas today, because you haven't eaten yet. But once you've eaten, then it's clearly a haram. Kisvar of balhat itur that we're going to see it later. We saw it already, all right? That there's a difference between cooking before you ate and after you ate. Shekasav Rabbeinu b'samach v'afilu achishairi lishchot al yidei achilas kezayis midi dehavi behema mesukenes. But the shchita, even if you've already eaten, we're going to let you shecht one of the animal, because remember we had the din of behema mesukenes. So there was a behema mesukenes, and we said, you know what? As long as there's enough time to eat one kezayis of meat, we will allow you to shech the whole animal to save it from becoming a nevela. Okay, so everybody agrees that the animal misukenes, even if it's after you've eaten, in order to save it from turning nevela, we give you a free pass to shecht it as long as you're going to eat a kazayas. And now he has a big chiddush. The sover debria nami yochel lishchor achar achila kol she'ochel mimena kazayas. Once I say that it's okay to shecht an animal on yontif for tomorrow, as long as you need a kazayas, then I can do it even with a healthy animal. In other words, we're going to treat shchita differently than cooking. It comes out to the idea that shchita for an animal, and I eat a kazayas. If I eat a kazayas of shchita, there was no way that I couldn't do that without shechting the whole animal. But if I eat a kazayas of food that I cooked, there was an easy way to do that without cooking the whole pot. So before I ate, I'm going to say it's still okay. But after I ate, it's very clear the only reason you're doing it is for tomorrow. It's glaringly clear you're doing it for tomorrow, and therefore the smak says you can't do it. Okay, that's again. We'll see when we get to the Shulchan Aruch Mishnah Berurah. We'll see, but pretty much it's very clear is that there's going to be a big difference between shchita, where you need it for tomorrow and you eat a kazayas, and bishul, where you need it for tomorrow and you eat a kazayas. Okay. Next, Aval Memali Shikaderi Basar Afal Pishen Tzrichel K'Tidachas, Bryce of Perek Beis. We saw that Bryce explicitly. Here he quotes it. Be'emes Amru Memali Isha Kadera Basar Afal Pishen Tzrichel K'Tidachas, Memali Nachtum Chavish Al Mayim Afal Pishen Tzrichel K'Tirechot. So that's what we saw now. And Rashi made an important limitation on this, or I should say, really not limitation. Rashi made a reason for the din. From Rashi's reason for din, you'll see a big limitation. Okay? Upirish Rashi, Memala Isha Kedera. Why am I allowed to do it? Dibechad Tircha Sagi. It's all happening at once. There's no more extra work, all right, to put in 5 pieces than to put in 1 piece. It's all happening at once.
Karlinsky?
And v'chein menachtum, hold it, v'chein menachtum, legabe milui. I got to put a pot of water. Remember, we're talking before you put it on the fire. Okay, you fill up the dude, and then you put it on the fire. So there's no more tircha to do 10 liters than to do 1 liter. So that's not called extra tircha. All right, to put in 5 pieces or 1 piece, it's all the same tircha. And therefore,
you see, Rabbi,
wait, no, hold question, please.
You're coming in not clear.
You're freezing.
I'm not clear. I'm freezing. Whoa.
The last minute or so, you've had ins and outs.
Just a minute. Let me see then what I need to do about that. Just a minute. Maybe I got too much stuff running here. Just a minute. Let me close down some programs here. Wow. Just a minute. I'll try to fix this. What? Is this better or not? Is it okay now?
Good so far.
Right now it's good. It's just before there was.
Is it any better?
Yeah, right now it's good.
Wait, how?
No.
You just froze again.
How? So when did you lose me? When I explained the Rashi, you heard me explain the Rashi or not yet?
Yes, but you were just.
So let's go over the Rashi again. So Rashi says that the reason why you're allowed to do it is because it's chadatirah. Okay, all right, but the Rashba says it was brought in the Magid Mishnah. I think this is probably where I got lost. Yirali shafilu litin b'kedera chaticha achar shehinicha kedera al gabe ha'esh muter. Meaning the Rashi was arguing on Rashi. According to Rashi, you got to put it all in at once and then put it on the fire. But according to the Rashi, he said, no, the pot's sitting on the fire and the meat is cooking, and then you know what? I'm going to add 4 more pieces to it. And I really need it for tomorrow. And remember, I need it for tomorrow. Okay? Umiu l'divrei Rashi, shenosan tam mishum dechad tirchahu, kol kahai gavna dehave trei tircha nira de osur. In other words, according to Rashi, you won't be allowed to do that because that's already not chad tircha. That's 2 tirchas. You did 1 pot, and then 5 minutes later you went out and you did another load. V'divrei Rabbeinu kedas harashba, sharei nosan tam mipnei shatavshil mitkan yoser kishireish harbe kedera. V'achinaktinan kemadim mekel kiven dehave midi derabanan. So we have a machlokas Rashba and Rashi. Rashi says you're only allowed to do it if you put it all in at once. Once you put it on the fire, you can't add more. The Rashba says, no, I can add it later because it's going to improve the meat, even if I put it in later. So we have a machlokas Rashi Rashba, and says the Beis Yosef, we're going to paskin like the Rashba because it's a midi derabanan. Why is it a midi derabanan? It's a midi derabanan because we're either in the world where there's no isser to go from Yom Tov to Shabbos, or from Yom Tov lechavero, and right because of Hoil. Or the simple way understanding is that the whole isser of adding food is only derabanan because really you would be allowed to do it. It's isser derabanan, and therefore he says we're going to paskin like the Rashba, and we're going to allow you even after the fact. Even after the fact. Which Rashi would not agree with. Okay. Now, wait, let me just finish. Just see this and then we'll take a question. The Gabi Mili Chavish Shalmayim, Kosovo Rabba Magi B'Shem Arashba, Ubavad Shitin as Hakol Kodem Shinei Chavish Al Gabi Ha'esh. That right now he's making a difference between the food, I can put the meat in a second round. I can't put the water in a second round. The water has to go, even according to the Rashba, the water has to go all in at once. You can't put water in a second time. Why? What's the difference between the meat and the water? The water doesn't improve because after I put the liter, 5 minutes later, I add 4 more liters. I didn't do anything to the first water. But with the meat, I put 1 piece of meat. And then 5 minutes later, I put more meat. Says the Rashba Lamai. So what I did is I improved the first meat. And therefore, I can do it even later. But even the Rashba will agree with Rashi that you can't do more water a second time. Only if you do the water all at once. Lefikach, daitozal, shasu lahosif, on water, shalol litzorech. Even according to Rashi, you would be allowed to do it all at once. David, you had a question.
Well, now I have 2 questions. One is that we're using the heter that if the animal is going to die, you're going to have a big loss, so we're going to allow you to shecht it, right? As long as you can eat a kazayas, something, and that will allow that. Will we apply that also to the food? I mean, if the vegetables are going to just go to the pot,
no. We said no.
Food.
Again, you got to start now. You got to start at the beginning. The beginning is in order to eat 1 kazayas of meat, I have to shecht the whole animal.
Right.
In order to eat a kazayas of vegetables, do I have to cook 10 kilo of vegetables?
I'm focusing on the loss. All the vegetables are going to go bad.
Wait, just a minute. Let's go one at a time.
I'm focusing on the hefsid. Well, is it the hefsid that's making the heter? And if it's the hefsid, or is it the possibility to eat the kazayas?
The answer is yes.
So
it's a combination of the 2 elements. We're starting with the fact that
need both. But you need both. You can't have one or the other.
Again, the starting point. The starting point is that ein shchita, ein achilas kazayas, ela shchita of the whole animal. Okay, that's absolutely not. You can't move without that. If that wouldn't be true, anything that I do more than I need is usher. But since there's no more for shechita, there's not. I'm not doing more than I need for shechita by shechting the whole animal, because for a kazayas I have to shech the whole animal. That's not called more than I need. Okay, but if all you really need is a kazayas of vegetables, then for sure you can't pour in more vegetables just to save them. That's a malach. It's a malach of bishul. Okay,
so the hefsid is not going to help. Okay, and right.
The starting point is that the only way I can eat a kazayas of basar is by doing a big malacha. I can eat a kazayas of vegetables without doing a big malacha.
Okay, I say that. And as far as adding water, I mean, if the water is running down, and now afterwards you say, it's going to burn, I'm going to add more water now.
That's a very good question. Halacha lamaisa. You put in a liter, and you put it on the fire, and you only need a liter. You didn't put in 5 liters, and you only need a liter. And then you see, wait a minute, I wasn't paying attention, and all of a sudden, half of a liter boiled out, and I've only got a half a liter left. So what do you need?
Add another half a liter.
I need a liter. So once I'm adding, I can add as much as I want, because I have to add for the liter. That's no different than putting 5 liters on to begin with. But if you put a liter on it, it's fine and it's cooking away and everything's going to be fine. And then you say, you know what, for tomorrow, remember all of this is for tomorrow. I'm not doing that. I need another 4 liters for tomorrow. You certainly can't add. But if I say, you know what, I need a liter today and 4 liters for tomorrow, so I will put on 5 liters all at once. That's mamalik. That's going to be mutter. Okay, because of chatira. Okay.
So
good. So everybody clear? Questions?
If I could just, Rabbi, pinpoint the DH's first question. If you have these cucumbers that are gonna go bad, they're gonna go bad unless you pickle them. But you really only need 1 cucumber. You only need, and then that's the kazayis. I mean, how many pickles does a person eat? So that would be different than the behemoth that is sick, and that you are
I can
allowed
only
to...
answer, the way I would answer that is by saying, will the one pickle that you need for Yontif, will it be a better pickle if I put in 10 cucumbers, or will it be the same?
Okay, so I'm not enough a maven on pickling things, but I would think yes.
I'm not either. But then it's not a question of the shchita. It's not a question of kizayis basar below shchita. It's a question of memala isha kedera. Is that if by putting in 10 pickles, I can do it even if they won't go bad. If by putting in 10 pickles, I only need one pickle. But you know what? If I put in 10, the one that I need for today will be better. You're allowed to do that.
But otherwise,
Otherwise, you're not.
Otherwise, they have to take the hefsek.
You see clearly from the Gemara that it's only the only reason that even there we were hesitant to allow it because, right. But we're saying as long as you have time to eat it, it's okay.
Right.
Okay.
The answer is yes, by the way.
Okay. All right. Next Beis Yosef. Right? Remember, we saw that two shitos. In other words, she is cooking, she needs one piece of meat, and she's putting in 5 pieces of meat. And she says explicitly, you know why I'm putting in the extra 4 pieces? Because I need them for tomorrow. So why would it be mutter? Why would it be aser? Ken kosav arokeach v'zel lashona. Memale isha kedera basar afal pishen etzricha. Aval ein lomar ilu yut litzarch yonto ve'elu ve'lo elu. She's not supposed to say according to the rokeach. Okay, I got 5 pieces of meat. Okay, this one's for yontif, and each of these I point out these meat. Oh, this meat that's for yontif. That's for tomorrow. Says that's a no-no. Achishememale akedera as a tavshil tov ve'enani keres haram also. Meaning, if she just does it without saying anything, it's not obvious that she's doing it for Yontif. It looks like she's doing it to improve the meat. So then she's okay. But if she says explicitly, this is the rokeach, if she says explicitly, I'm doing these 4 pieces for tomorrow, we're not going to let her do that. That's clear then that it's a harama. In other words, remember, there's really a harama going on here. Memale ishik, those are the Russian of the Brisa. Right? Memale ishik kedera bebazar afal pi she'ena tzricha el chaticha achas. So it's very clear that there's a harama going on here because she only needs 1 piece. Why are you putting in more pieces? She's not putting it in because she wants to improve the meat. She's putting it in because she wants it for tomorrow. But since lamaisa it improves, therefore we're saying as long as she doesn't say explicitly, it's okay. We say it's okay because there is an element of benefit by putting in the extra 4 pieces. And therefore, even though her intention is for tomorrow, since l'maisa it's improving this meat, we're going to let her get away with it. But it's getting away with it. If she says explicitly, then that's the harama is clear. There is a harama going on, but it's not obvious. And therefore, Daniel, you okay? You had a question? Daniel,
you were having a little bit of freezing, but we were able to understand it. It's okay.
Okay. All right. I'm not sure what's going on here.
So the Beis Yosef is not actually explaining why she is allowed to say it. He's only bringing the rokeach to explain the position why she shouldn't say it. Yesh osrin.
Well, again, because lemaisa, is it improving the meat?
But we're talking about what she says, and all I'm saying is it seems like the Beis Yosef is not explaining why she's allowed to say it. What he's explaining is the position, the tzad that says v'yesh osrin.
Wait, he doesn't. We don't need an explanation why she's allowed to say it. What it means is saying it is irrelevant. It doesn't undo the fact that the meat that she's putting in the pot, does that improve the taste of the existing meat?
Wait, so if saying anything is irrelevant, then why is the rokeach saying?
That's the machlokes. That's the machlokes. Is saying it making it bad? Does saying it undo? Does saying it undo the fact that the meat is being improved by what you're doing? And saying it... No, wait. No, again, start from the beginning. Okay? She needs 1 piece of meat for Yontif. Okay? And she needs 4 pieces.
I understand that it improves the taste
let me finish.
5 pieces instead of only 1.
Doug, let me finish. Let me go step by step. You got to go step by step and know what needs explanation and what the explanation is. The Mimala Isha Kedera is explicit in the Gemara that since when she puts in 5 pieces of meat, even though she only needs one, let's start from the beginning. She needs 1 piece of meat. Why is she putting in 5?
She needs the other 4 for tomorrow.
Wonderful. Is she allowed to do that?
I think that we can just
It says
talk
in the Gemara
about why the Rokeach is saying
She's allowed to do it.
Why are you jumping to the Rokeach before you go to the Gemara? The
that's
Gemara
what we're doing right
says
now.
the Gemara. You've got it. The Rokeach didn't walk in at the beginning. The Rokeach walked in at the end. So you've also got to be at the end. It says in the Gemara she's allowed to put in 5 pieces of meat, needing 1 for today and 4 for Yontif. That's what it says.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a reason why she's allowed to do that? I'll start backwards. Is there a problem with her doing that? Is there a problem with her doing that? Is there a problem that needs a solution? Doug, I'm waiting. Is there a problem when she puts in 5 pieces of meat, needing 1 for Yontif and 4 for the next day? Is there a problem?
I don't know.
If there wasn't a problem, why do I need
a problem?
Why do I need the Mishnah to tell me? Why do I need the Mishnah to tell me? Mamala Isha Kederi Basar. Af al pi always introduces the problem of why you shouldn't be allowed to do it. So she only needs 1 piece, and she's putting in 5 pieces. Is there a problem? What's the problem? Come on, somebody better tell me the problem.
She's preparing for the next day.
She's cooking 4. Is she cooking 4 pieces of meat for tomorrow?
She's cooking 4 pieces of it tomorrow, but the Gemara allows
Wait, stop. No, don't. I want you guys to go step by step. Please, step by step. She's cooking 4 pieces of meat today and 1 piece for tomorrow and 1 piece for today. Is that a problem? Are you allowed to cook meat today for tomorrow?
No.
Doug, I need you to go with me. You want to understand why we get to the Rokeach. You got to get there. You got to get there. No, you got to also answer, not just listen. When she cooks, if you would just cook 4 pieces of meat for tomorrow, mutter or aser?
Aser.
Aser. She's cooking 1 piece for today and 4 pieces for tomorrow. Should those 4 pieces be mutter or aser?
Should be aser.
Because
it's not ochel nefesh for today.
She's cooking it for tomorrow. That's your default. That's your default. Comes along the Mishnah to tell me that she's allowed to do that, even though she only needs 4. She needs only 1 for today and 4 for tomorrow. She's allowed to do it. Reason for din, because since in practice, she is also improving the taste of the meat in the pot, we're going to let her do it. It's already a leniency. Because she really doesn't need it for today, but since in practice it's benefiting the meat, that's considered bishul and yontif also. It's bishul now for yontif and for tomorrow. One act is benefiting the meat for today, and the byproduct is it'll be left over tomorrow. Can you follow that?
Mm-hmm.
Now, once we know that, who cares whether she says explicitly? We know for sure. Do we know when she puts in, we know she needs 1 piece for today. And we know that she's adding those 4 pieces for tomorrow. Do we know what's going on?
Yeah.
We know what's going on. Do we let her do it?
Mm-hmm.
Why do we let her do it? Come on, somebody else. Doug is
one tirka. It's one
Why do we let her do it?
It's 1 tirka.
And it makes it better. It makes the meat better.
The answer is what Daniel said. Because what she's doing makes the meat for Yontif better. Therefore, we allow her to do it. Okay? So why what she says should make a difference? We know exactly what's happening. She's putting it in for tomorrow, but we let her do it because it makes the meat better. So who cares whether she says why? She says it or we know it without her saying it. That's the default. The Rokeach comes along with a big chiddush. Well, if she says it, we're not going to let her do it. I want you to understand they're okay because they're big chiddush. Once you know that it's mutter, who cares what she says? I knew without her saying it what she's doing. We all knew what she's doing. She knows what she's doing. She's doing it for tomorrow. But we let her do it because it also works for today. So the fact that she says she's doing it for tomorrow, it still works for today. And that's the rokech as being a chiddush. Okay? That's, yeah.
It's like a chumrah. Yeah, he's machmir.
Exactly. That's
He
exactly.
He doesn't want people to...
Aval ein lomar ilu elu yulit sorch yonta ve'elu shemamalik dera as a tafshil tov ve'nani keras. It's only when she doesn't say it, so it's not obvious that she's doing it for tomorrow. We know she's doing it for tomorrow. She knows she's doing it for tomorrow. But it's not obvious that she's doing it for tomorrow. Do you see that gimel there? Okay, no, the gimel's nothing. Ignore that. It's just changing a word in the gears. Anyway, Doug, I want you to understand the default is it doesn't matter whether she says it or not because we all know what she's doing. But there's a lashon of nikeres harama. Once it's publicly when it's visible that what she's doing, then we don't let that happen. But that's a chumrah of the rokeh. It's a chumrah of the rokeh. Okay. All right. Now continues the where are we up to? Is that's in the okay, Venera. Remember what so now go back into the tour. Just reread the tour to see what this line is going. Venera shu mutter. The tour is paskening mutter. Remember, we have this machlokas rokeach. And the tour, and this poor saying, nearer the mutter, kiven de tama heter memesha tosevet gorim, tama tavshil. Im kein afilu pirsha beferish nami mutter. So Doug, you see that the tour understands that the rokech is a big chumrah. At the end of the day, who cares whether she said it or not? At the end of the day, does the food improve? Does the yonta food improve with what she's doing?
Yeah, it does.
But therefore, she's allowed to do it. Saying it doesn't make it any worse.
Right.
Says the Beis Yosef. Let's see the Beis Yosef. V'nir shu muter kiven de tama heter minesha tosevet gorim tama tavshil. Heim divrei Rabbeinu. This is the opinion of the tour, meaning after the tour brought the default opinion and the rokeach, the tour himself says, I think it's okay. Heim divrei Rabbeinu. V'dvarim shel tameh. And the Beis Yosef says, the tour makes a lot of sense. Lefi devarav shekasav the time of the shari lamalos kadei labasar b'mnei shatavshil mitkan yoser kisheyesh harbe b'kadei. And therefore, why not? Umiu lefi time shel Rashi demishum dechat tirchahu shari hachi ikalamemer delo itiru elamiv ela b'mevashel stam shenira sheinu mevashel ela tzorch yom tov. He has a big chiddush here. See, according to Rashi, the reason why it's mutter is because, says Rashi, it's chad tircha. Okay? Chad tircha. Now, wait a minute. According to Rashi, Lamaisa, I put in one piece of meat. 10 minutes later, I'm going to put in another piece of meat. According to Rashi, am I allowed to do it?
That's a problem.
According to Rashi, does the second piece of meat improve the taste of the first piece of meat?
Doesn't matter to Rashi.
Wait, you skipped a step. According to Rashi, I didn't ask you halach, I asked you fact. Does the second piece of meat improve the taste of the first piece of meat?
We don't know. Because Rashi doesn't talk about that.
No. Why don't you know? Everybody says that more meat in the pot improves the taste of the meat.
Rashi knows that.
Why are you telling me you don't know? You do know. You're mixing up fact with halacha. You're mixing up the reality with a din and the reason for din, and that's exactly what the tour is pointing out. You're blending everything together.
So you want to say that Rashi also knew it, but that wasn't the decisive factor for him.
I'm trying to make this precise. Everybody agrees that putting in a second piece of meat improves the taste of the first piece of meat. True or false?
How do we know that?
Because memale isha 4 pieces, 5 pieces when she needs 4, because the 4 pieces increase. When you have 5 pieces, the 1 piece is better. So who cares whether I put it in right away or I put it in 10 minutes later? At the end of the day, I now have a piece of meat that I need for Yom Tov, cooking with more meat that's going to improve its taste. You don't see that? Who cares whether I put it in simultaneously or I put it in 5 minutes later? For the taste of the meat. You're mixing up halacha with fact. No?
Yeah, I know. You were in and out. You were freezing, unfreezing.
I'm sorry. I will repeat it again. Did I freeze? Okay. Yeah. Don't mix up halacha, whether I am allowed to do what I'm doing or not, with the factual, empirical result of what I'm doing. Somebody puts in more meat. It improves the taste of the meat that I need. True or false?
Anybody has a green person, please.
Am I in or out?
No, you're in.
A person has more meat in the pot than he needs, but the meat that he needs is improved by the meat that he doesn't need. True or false? This is taking too long.
Yeah, the new meat improves.
Does meat that I don't need in the pot improve the taste of the meat that I need?
Yeah.
Meat in the pot cooking with the meat that I need.
That's a fact, of course.
Doug, do you see it's a fact that it improves the taste of the meat?
If it doesn't
improve the taste of the meat, you would never be allowed to put 5 pieces when you only need 1.
I mean, I think we have this in the Gemara, right? Memala Isha Kedera, right?
That's exactly the din of Memala Isha Kedera. Afal Pi, she only needs 1 piece, because the 4 pieces that she doesn't need improves the taste of the meat of the piece that she needs. So I'm going to let her put in the pieces she doesn't need to improve the taste of the food that she needs.
Did the Gemara say that? I don't know if that's compelling, because we see that that's not the
don't
case
tell
by
me it's
the water.
compelling or not. The Gemara says it. That's your
Does the Gemara say that it's because it improves the taste? Afal pi she'eno tzricha ela lechaticha achas be'emes amru memala isha kedera basar afal pi she'eno tzricha ela lechaticha achas right memala chatam chavis afal pi she'eno tzricha ela kiton echad upirish Rashi, because it is all the only explanation for that din. The only explanation for that din. It's all the Rishonim is because it improves the taste of the meat that you need. There's the only explanation. Otherwise, you're doing bishul on food that you don't need. I thought Rashi said it was because it was b'chad tircha.
You're just mixed up 2 different things. Chad tircha. If I did it with chad tircha, it improves the taste. But if I did it with trei tircha, it doesn't improve the taste. Does that make any sense?
Her objective is to have 4 pieces of meat for tomorrow.
Correct. And why am I allowing her to do it?
It seems to be a machlokas rishonim.
No, it's not a machlokas rishonim. Why am I allowing her to do 4 extra pieces of meat?
So I don't know.
Mix up the why with the when.
It'll improve the taste of the meat for today.
I am allowing her to add meat to the pot that she doesn't need, to cook more meat than she needs, because it will improve the taste of the meat. That is a given, Doug. That's not negotiable.
Okay.
There may be a limitation on when I'm going to allow her to do it. But the fact is the fact. Whether she's allowed to do that because of the fact, that's going to be a question. So Rashi has another requirement, that it will improve the taste of the meat, no question about it. But the only reason the Mishnah allows it is because it's all happening at once. And therefore there's no extra work there.
Exactly.
But says Rashi, in contradistinction to all the other Rishonim, that if it requires a second step, I'm not going to allow her to do a second step. As long as it's done at once, it's okay. But the fact is, it has to improve the taste of the meat, because if it doesn't improve the taste of the meat, I can't even do it in 1 step. I can't even do it in 1 step if it wouldn't improve the taste of the meat.
Where did we see that in Rashi?
No, we didn't see anything in Rashi. That's all. That's why are you allowing a woman to put 5 pieces of meat when she only needs 1? Just explain to me why you're allowing that.
I have to go back and review the Gemara and the Mishnah.
The Gemara says, everybody says, because it improves the taste of the meat. Okay? But Rashi added that if she wants to do it later, we're not going to let her do it. That's all. Rashi added that. And therefore, says the Beis Yosef, Look at Nira Shahu Mutter Kivan Datam HaHeter. Kivan Datam HaHeter. The reason for the heter is Mipnei Shetosefet Gorem Tefet Gorem Tam B'Tavshil. Heim Divrei Rabbeinu. V'dvarim Shel Tam Heim. Lefi Dvarav. Shekosav Taima Deshari Lamalos Kedera Basar Mipnei Shatavel Mitkan Yoser Kishiesh Harbe B'Kedera. But if that's the reason, Miu Lefi Taima Shel Rashi, that the reason we're allowing it is because it's all happening at once, Mishum Chatir Chahu, and that's why I'm allowing it. Hare right? Hachi ikalamemer deloi tiru elabim vashal stam. Shenira shena mavashal elatzarch yomtov. But if she explicitly says I'm doing it for chol, Rashi may say that's not good enough anymore. It knows it's got to be hidden away what she's doing. Anyway, again, this is a machlokas, Rashi and the Tur and all the other Rishonim. I don't want to spend more time on it. That it's quite clear that Rashi added a whole new reason in there about doing it all at once. Okay, we're going to skip now to the next page, or if you're in the next tour, we're skipping a couple of Beis Yosefs, and we're going to do the one with Perek Beis de Beitza. Okay.
You're going in the tour now, or are you going?
I'm in the Beis Yosef. I'm skipping two pieces of Beis Yosef, and we're going to Perek Beis de Beitza. Everybody see where I am? I skipped two pieces of Beis Yosef. We're still on the line of the tour that we've been talking about. Everybody have me? There's a piece that says the Nireh that I'm skipping, and there's a piece that starts Kasav Bala Itur. I'm skipping the Bala Itur also. I don't want to go on until everybody knows where I am.
And so where you're starting from?
It's in the Beis Yosef. It starts Perek Beis de Beitza. I skipped two small pieces of Beis Yosef to go Perek Beis de Beitza Gabe Hadatanya. Nevashal hu liyom tov v'im hotir l'Shabbos ubilvat shelo yarim. In other words, you cook for Yom Tov on Friday, and if you have leftover, you're allowed to use it for Shabbos. All of this is before Eruv Tavshilin. You cooked on Yom Tov, and you had leftover, so it's okay. Ubilvat shelo yarim. Shelo yarim means you can't pour into the pot a lot more than you know you will not need this for Yom Tov. Yarim means I know I won't need it for Yom Tov, but I'll cook it all and I'll have leftover for Shabbos. That's Yarim. Okay, Pirush Rashi. Ubelvad shelo Yarim. What does it mean shelo Yarim? Le'achar shebishel litzorech Yom Tov. After he cooked all of his food that he needs for Yom Tov, Lo Yarim Lomar, after he finished cooking everything for Yom Tov and he's set for Yom Tov, then he says, you know what? I need more food for Yom Tov. I better cook more because I'm going to have to invite guests. So it's a Yarim. He has no intention of inviting guests, but he says, you know what? I'll cook because I'm going to invite guests. That's Yarim. He's not allowed to do that. Okay? That's below Yarim. The Kosvatosos, Alzeh, Vim Tomer Maishna Me'ahida Rav Adam Marim Umale Garma Garma Umoleach Garma Garma. If you remember, what Rav Ada did was he had 5 pieces of meat that he had just shechted, and he's really I'll only need to salt 1 piece of meat for Yom Tov, and he's really not allowed to salt the other pieces of meat, but they're going to go bad. So he was marim. How was he marim? He salted 1 piece of meat, and then he said, you know what? I think that second piece of meat is a better piece of meat. I'm going to salt that for Yom Tov. And then he salted that piece of meat. And then he was marim to say, I see that the other one is even better. That was called marim. That's what he did. And he's allowed to do it. So if you're allowed to do that marim, why isn't he allowed to do the marim of saying, oh, maybe I'll invite guests? V'yesh lomer de shiny hasa. Why? Dehave ibud ochlim be'alma. It's not such a malacha. See, the malacha of cooking is a real malacha. The malacha of salting meat is not such a malacha. Umishum simchas Yom Tov itiru, something that's not such a malacha. And why is that necessary for simchas Yom Tov? Because ilav hachi, if you won't let him do that, You know what he's going to say? I'm not shechting for yontif. Because if I can't salvage all 5 pieces of meat with salting, I'm just not going to get started. Umimna. He's going to be worried that if I can't salt all 5 pieces, I'm not going to shecht at all because they'll go bad, and he won't shecht at all. Right? The lo shachit, and therefore he won't shecht. So since melicha is not such a big malacha, we're going to allow a harama. He's going to, again, it's got to be with a harama. Is that after he does one, he says, maybe the other one's better. Aval hacha bebishul dechamur. Cooking is a much more serious malacha. A and B gam hayachol lasos takon al yidei eruv tavshilin, and he didn't need to do this because he finished his cooking and now he's going to be marim. Oh, maybe I'll invite guests. You didn't need to do that. You could have done eruv tavshilin. Therefore, we're not going to allow him to do it. That's why we don't let him do it. Mashma midivreim de'afilu kodem achila nami kol shemavashal kederos yoser michadei tzorech hayom havi marim v'aser. Meaning now, once we're saying that we're not allowing a marim in bishul because it's a serious malacha, and it could have been fixed with an eruv tavshilin, then even before you ate, you're not going to be allowed to do it because it's a marim. Miyuim ochel ma'at mikol achas kivin shekodam. You know what? I don't want to finish this quickly because this last piece is very important. And oh no, we have time. We have 2 more minutes. Okay, so he's saying like this. Let's get it straight. After he finished eating, he's not allowed now to be marim and say, oh, you know what, I better cook more because maybe I'll have guests. Even though he really knows that the only reason he's doing it is for Shabbos. Can't do that. What about before he ate? Can he say before he ate, I really only need 1 pot of food for Yontif, but I'll cook 2 more pots because maybe I'll need to maybe guests will come when he has no intention of inviting guests. That's called marim. That's called marim. And we decided that the malacha of bishul, which is serious, and he could have made an eruv tavshilin, which he didn't do, that blocks out marim. He's not allowed to do marim. There's one loophole here. One loophole. Mashma divrayim afilu kodem achila nami lo shemavashal kederos yoser michadei tzorech hayom havi marim, and you can't do it. Here's the loophole. Miu im ochel mi'at mikol achas. But if you will eat from each of those pots that he doesn't need for today, he needs for Shabbos, but he eats something today, then kiva dekodem achilahu, and he's doing it before he ate his suda. Mevashla, efshar deshari, v'chein kosev Rabbeinu Yerucham, gavi misha lo hiniach eruv tavshilin. So there's another scenario. He didn't do an eruv tavshilin. So what does he do? Yochel levashel v'lefo sorach yom tov v'yochel mikol minu min v'im yotir ad kad l'shono. Meaning, the guy forgot to do eruv tavshilin. So he says, you know what you can do? You can cook a lot of food that you really more than you need for Yom Tov, but as long as you eat something from each of the pots that you cooked, it's okay, because that's called sorach Yom Tov. Okay? So again, therefore we've got like this, that you're not allowed to be marim to cook on Yom Tov for Shabbos more than you're going to, when you know you won't need it. But if you do it, you need 2 requirements. It's got to be before you ate, because after you ate, it's absolutely out, because it's so glaring, that you're doing a marim. But before you ate, if you eat from the pot, each pot a little bit, then it's already not called a marim. That's how the pieces fall together. Okay, and we'll see in the Shulchan Aruch that's going to be the halacha l'maisa. Okay, but we're going to skip all the way till the tashbates. When we pick it up tomorrow on Sunday, we're going to skip to the tashbates. The Seder, I hope this was clear. Okay, we still have the questions are in the chat. We'll see as we unfold how we answer all 3 of those questions. The Seder? Okay, I got to find out why I was freezing also. Okay, the Seder. Kol Tuv, everybody. Have a good Shabbos. See everybody on Sunday.
Have a good Shabbos.